Hey y'all, it's me, the Binge and B. What you watching on TV? So I have made it officially to episode 4 of Tiffany Haddish Goes Off, right? And so this episode was really intense for me. I will say this, it opened up, so the ladies are, I believe when we left off episode 3, they were in Zimbabwe. And they were just kind of having some discussions as far as getting plans together for this wedding that Tiffany got coming, honey. Oh my God. Yeah, so then there's that. And again, remember in episode 3, so Jackie, her friend Jackie, that they met up with at the makeup session when they went to the makeup salon or whatever, she was on board to kind of help Tiffany with this wedding that she wanted to get started, right? So she was like, y'all, you bring the girls, y'all come to the house. I have my aunties, I have some cousins, you'll have a lot of support. So they take her up on that offer, right? So episode 4 starts out where they end up going over to the house to meet with Jackie and her family. I'm sorry, I'm gonna try to keep it together. So they go over there to meet with Jackie and her family. And as they show up, it's just like a lot of the places, I think, wherever you are, at least from what they show on TV. I've never been. Hopefully one day I'm going to go. But, you know, they show up. The ladies are in there. They're having their champagne. They dancing. They singing. They're doing the calls and all the things. So it's really a sweet and welcoming environment, like when they get there, right? So they get there. And I think Tiff and the girls are thinking like, okay, this is cool. We're going to have a little champagne. We'll probably sit around and kiki around the table and get to know each other and this and that. Child. Jackie done told her family friends that this girl is getting married and getting ready for a wedding. And so they come in with their best how to please your husband speech. They come in with their best how to please your husband speeches, which I think is cute and it's probably appropriate, if you're marrying a husband. But I think the first thing we all thought of, anybody that's watching it, and then like even the girls, as they're there, they're kind of like, did they know that she just marrying herself? Like, did they know there's not an actual husband involved in this? So that scene is hilarious to me because the first lady to stand up, she showed Tiffany basically, she's like, listen, you got to drop it low for your husband. So she get up and do her little thing, and then you had like 2 or 3 other women talking about how you must submit to your husband. And there were a couple of different messages of submission. They're very adamant about submission. And one lady was even like, I know that you are, American, but if you're going to marry African, you have to understand that you must adjust to the culture. And I think that's sound advice. I really do. I think all of that was really sound advice. If that's the type of, union that you're entering into, then I think it's relevant. I think it's valid. And I have no qualms with it at all. There are no objections, none of that. You know what I'm saying? But it's just, again, this is really strange. And it's funny to me because I guess as you're watching it, you see the responses to what they're talking about. If you look at Tiffany's face, if you look at Selena's face, even Sparkle's face, you're kind of like, oh shit. Like, everybody is sitting around like, of course, obviously the only person who's thrilled with the messages is Miss Shimona. Like, Shimona is like on board. She's in her element. She's like, so good for her. That's what's up. Anyway, so they have the how to be a husband meeting. And once they leave there, they're kind of talking about it like in the car a little bit. And Tiffany's basically saying how every relationship she ever been in, most of the time the men would tell her she's an alpha female. And like, she said she would ask them what that means. And they would say stuff to her like, you just need to do what I tell you to do. She's like, nah, nigga. Like, like, no, I'm all right. I think a lot of women can relate to that. There's some women that don't, but I think there are a lot of women that can relate to that. And so that's probably why the love world looks like it looks today. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. We ain't even gonna touch on that. But anyway, so they had I think they had a fairly pleasant visit. They may have left there feeling a little like inadequate as far as being the traditional wife. But to be fair, I don't think that was ever her goal. So it is what it is, right? So they leave there. The next day, they actually go on a spiritual I wouldn't say it's a retreat because it's like for, well, I guess like it's a spiritual retreat. I guess we can call it that. So they go out to this mountain. They go out to the mountain. They meet up with a couple of spiritual healers. And so they go out and then they summons the ancestors. Like it's a whole thing to show how that process works for them in that area. And it's really, really pretty. They're out in nature. They're like on this mountain. And so it's really like you kind of got to watch it. It's not really anything I can really give a whole lot of valid commentary. I'm not going to sit here and like discuss each conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck, you know? So I won't just quote each conversation. What I will say is that we do get to know everybody a little bit better, obviously, right? Episode 4, we in pretty deep now. So the girls talk a little bit more. I think we're learning more about Selena in this episode. She shares some pretty intimate details of her childhood and some of the things she went through as far as being sexually assaulted, like as a little girl and stuff like that. So I thought that was super deep and courageous of her, because you can tell she's a really private person. She seems solid, but she seems like she's really private and pretty reserved. And so I know she probably, for her to even talk about something like that, it was probably like, you know, it's probably kind of hard for her. So she talks a little bit about that. One part that I thought was really cool is that they started out on a mountain. They go up the mountain, they do the little ritual there, and then they go up, they hike up a mountain, and they end up going to like, there's this peak that they come out on. So they go through this cave, and then there's a peak. When they get to the peak and you look out, they're like really, really high up. I don't know, maybe hundreds of feet up in the air, maybe thousands. Like it's a pretty sharp drop from when you step up on this mountain or when you step out this cave. And so as they're standing there, everybody is kind of like taken back by it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's like, damn, like this is incredible. You know, there are some things that you see in this world where even if you don't subscribe to a particular spiritual doctrine or religious doctrine, you have to wonder how people can not believe that there is a God. Like there are some moments that you have in your life and some things that you see just in nature. You'd be like, it got to be somebody spearheading this shit. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that was a moment for them there at that cave, at the end of that cave when they went to that mountain. And then the other thing I wanted to say that stuck out to me, I think this is why I'm a Tiffany Haddish sympathizer. I wouldn't say I think this show I might end up leaving this show being a fan of Tiffany. Here's the thing, right? So with all of her wretchedry and all of her ghetto-isms and her whole jokes and her whole isms and all the things, she has a really sweet innocence to her. And I'm convinced that it's probably people that deal with her in a real world sense, it's really hard to not see that in her. She has a really sweet innocence to her. Like when she sees something amazing and she's just really like she can't be faking that. You know what I'm saying? And it's really endearing and it's super sweet and it make your heart open up to her. You know what I'm saying? So I might fuck around and leave this show being a fan of Tiffany. Maybe not of her, like her work or her stand-up and all that kind of stuff, but I'm a fan of Tiffany Haddish, the human. You know what I mean? Like I really, my heart is really going out to her. She is growing on me. She growing on me. When she steps out on the mountain and she look up and I forgot what she say, but she say something and just like, oh, it's so sweet. So they end up doing that together. They actually go off the mountain. They come off the mountain. They go into another little small area with the spiritual healer who kind of goes around and gives everybody their individual. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a reading. It's not really a deep reading, but he gives them messages and he kind of, I guess he's channeling their energy more than reading them. Well, I guess it's the same thing on the cool. Like, that really is kind of the same thing. And so that's where Selena opens up about what happened to her when she was 12. After this part, they actually take the ladies, they go have lunch, and then they go kind of go do their own thing. Tiffany actually goes back with another spiritual healer, a young lady that gives her a reading and actually gives her a cleansing. That scene... I'm not even going to really try to explain that. I will say that scene was intense. And it actually brought tears to my eyes. I will say that we learned that Tiffany has had 8 miscarriages throughout her life. She also said something else that I really relate to. She said that she Men never stay in her life. And not just like romantical stuff, like from her father to her, she had, I think, a couple uncles that was super close to her, and they died. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they were necessarily, abusive, but they just didn't stay around. And then she said she had 8 miscarriages. She's got some kind of, I think she said she got endometriosis or something. Some kind of condition, I think, that prevents her from being able to carry a pregnancy to term. And she's experienced that 8 times, which is a lot, That's a lot, you know what I'm saying? And so she was saying how she think all of those babies were probably boys. And she talked about being traumatized by every man that's ever been in her life. I think there are so many women that relate to that. To be fair, I think men get traumatized too by women, but I really, just seeing her vulnerable side. I don't know how you can see a person in a vulnerable essence and still be like, ew, I just ew. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really, this was a really intense episode. It lets us in and get to know the girls a little bit more. As Tiffany is getting her cleansing done, the ladies they're having lunch, they're doing their thing, they're kind of talking. The spiritual healer, the young man, he comes back out and he kind of asked them, I think he really just kind of wanted to review like how they was feeling and, coming out of the situation and just what they were thinking and what was their experience like. And so they kind of talk about it a little bit. He dives into Selena and Selena's needs to be validated. And he talks a little bit to Sparkle. Sparkle is on a spiritual thing. You can tell she's searching. She is definitely searching. She's looking. She had a point in her life where she's really trying to find herself. I guess we all go through that a little bit, but I think especially for mothers, when your purpose is no longer, supporting the existence of another human, that can be kind of a major shift. And so, with her moving to Arizona and becoming more spiritual and backing up from Christianity, and she's just kind of on a mission. And so they talked about that a little bit. Then we get to Miss Shimona. And he asked Miss Shimona how she's feeling. Shimona decides to bring up the fact that she is worried about her sister and her spiritual journey because they were raised up as Christian Baptists, and she's worried about her sister and her spiritual practices. She says that her sister no longer believes that the Bible is the absolute truth, and she worries for her. And as I'm listening to her speak, I'm worried for her. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay. Yes, ma'am. So, I think the healer gave them some sound advice. Basically, he encouraged the sisters to stay in tune with each other and to make sure that they are open to not, he encouraged them to not stay so set in their ways and their beliefs to where they, maintain so much pride that they can't come together and fix whatever this rift is between them. So I think that's pretty good advice. My heart go out to Miss Sparkle. You got a lot of work cut out for you, Miss Lady. You know how the people do and how they get down. It's not going to be a walk in the park because they think you evil or deserve death if you don't acquiesce to what they've been doing. Meanwhile, they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a whole thing. So it will be interesting on episode 5. We get a preview of episode 5, and they really kind of dig into that conversation a little bit more, and it's going to get good. So that's what I'm finna do now, because we binging. That's what we doing. We binging. So that's all I got to say about that shit, y'all. I'm going to see you in a minute in episode 5. Bye.